Okay. Welcome to the Marketing Crash Course, aka a tutorial on girl bossing. So, who am I? Why am I qualified to give this presentation? I'm Morgan. I have an advertising and PR background. I've done a few internships in that field. I'm an avid game jammer, especially in the GDA club, and I'm a member of Milky Way Studios, which is kind of an indie game studio. So here are the topics I'm going to cover. It's the importance of advertising, branding your game, social media networking, and free advertising. All of these are going to be key in marketing your indie game, whether it's marketing it for just awareness, so you get people to play your game and just to see how awesome of a game dev and the game is, or for selling it. So if you want to make money, these are very important things to cover. So first of all, I'm going to cover why should you advertise. So congrats, you're a business owner. You have something to sell. But oh no, no one knows who you are. No one knows who you are. They don't know that you have a game to sell. So believe it or not, advertising isn't a bad thing for that. It informs the consumer of what you have to sell. It persuades the consumer to play your game, and it delivers value to the consumer. So it essentially gets the consumer and your player to play the game, and then the value will be the game itself. So a good way to do that is to know your community behind your game, know the environment in your game and what you're kind of advertising to. And so I have a video here showing how Battlefield 2042 did this. They knew their community, so they went and found an amazing legendary clip from, I believe, Battlefield 4? I'm not sure. I could be completely wrong. And then they used it in their trailer later. So that's how you can see is an amazing way to kind of know your community. And I heard an objective opinion, not so objective, from one of my friends, good friends, Julian, that said Battlefield 2042 was one of the worst games in the franchise, but welcome, Danny Sloth. But because it was advertised so well, they got many people to buy it, despite it not being one of the best games in the franchise. Because they had that advertisement, so many people in the community that had played it before were tied in to go play it, because they believed this was going to be a company that would take care of them and their interests. So now I have an exercise. I'm going to show you an indie trailer, and you're going to show me what value it provides.
From the creators of Merc, introducing crab game, Jesus Christ, high octane gameplay, and more.
When developing Crab Game, we really wanted to make sure with the game, we just wanted to make sure the gameplay was fun and enjoyable, and we had this really good idea. We thought we would base some of the games on basically children's games. We turn people children's games. Yeah, like a prize for the winner. So you take home a couple of $1 million, $50 life, and do that. So yeah, actually got an idea for a game.
If you're not convinced yet, then just listen to what our players think.
I don't know.
Yeah, kind of cringe.
Oh no, it's great. It's great.
Fantastic.
Game, amazing.
Download now.
Okay. So does anyone want to answer, what did it inform?
Absolutely nothing.
I
It showed us gameplay.
It did show gameplay.
Yeah. Okay, so to their community, which is viewers of obviously Squid Game and I guess players of Muck, what value did it deliver to that community? Exactly. And how they advertised it, which was very kind of chaotic, is very similar to the gameplay itself and very hilarious, which is a good tie-in to get influencers in the gaming industry to play it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but they did have a notable name from that industry in the gameplay trailer, which would be Puns. And so it persuaded that way. It was persuasive in the way that it was comedic, and that was both representative of the game itself and the game voice, which we'll talk about more about that later. So you have something to sell. So you have to know your end goal. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to just spread awareness, or do you want to sell? Do you have a studio name? Are you using your own name, or are you building an indie company? What's your target market? Who are you selling to? Why are you selling to them? And how are you going to package it? Are you going to put it on itch.io, or are you going to put it on Steam? So this is just the end goal, which is obviously either awareness or making money. At least in my experience, those are the two. And your studio name is very actually important. It represents your brand, who people will identify as the creator of the game, and this is where your players were going to attribute success or failure. And you can download this presentation later, and it will have, and this, if you click this, this is a link to a random studio name generator if you'd like to watch that. So your target market is very important. It's who your game is going to be advertised to, and it's important to select the right segment of the consumer market, because you need to understand, these people need to understand your message. And your game itself, if it's going to be hilarious like Crab Game or a first-person shooter like Battlefield, you need to understand who's going to enjoy that game the most when you try to sell it, or spread awareness. And these 5 things on this pie chart are kind of how advertisers split it up, to like split up your target market and market segment. And this is mainly used for sending advertising messages to the correct people at the correct time for them to see it. So what is the target market of these products or services? So I'm going to ask people, but I need to specify, this is not a raincoat. This is a like a jacket, like a puff jacket. This is makeup, and then this is a rave, an event, which I would say is a service. So if you were an advertiser, who would you sell these coats to? That is correct. I think. And ooh, sorry, it's a little dark. Okay. And who would you sell the makeup to? Generally, this is just, who do you think advertisers would market this to? There's not a wrong answer. Yes. And the rave.
Young people, young adults, 18 to 30.
Yes. You're kind of cheating because you're in the agency, but it's okay. But yeah, no, the first one would definitely be geographic. The second one's demographic, primarily women aged 18 to 24 is who's going to be targeted at. And then the third would be psychographic, which would be clubbers or ravers, people that prioritize to party and who love doing it. So here you can see that geographic's obviously where you are. Demographic is kind of who you are. And psychographic is sort of what you love, what you enjoy. And behavioristic would obviously be what you enjoy doing. So now we might have some more participation from the audience, because this is target audiences in video games. So who do you think The Sims 4 is targeted to? Yeah, specifically here. Okay. I also love The Sims 4. It's why it's on here. Also, there's a lot of research about why people enjoy The Sims 4. Shut up, Julian. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen some people want to be like, I want to like make a story out of this, like this is the child of like a divorced couple. It's so dramatic. In a
Mhm.
way, they're not just like creating like a house and a family, but also like maybe a story.
Yeah,
So you can think of it that way.
that's an awesome insight. So what about Battlefront? Who would play that? Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars fans. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and the last one is Pokemon Go. Who do you think that one's targeted at?
The super cats would also think like all of these are games are really like that's important to say. Like we see people events or people out there trying to find
I agree. That's part of the reason why I chose these.
and you develop these different
Yeah. This is why this exercise is happening, because it's easy to identify your broad audiences, but whenever you're an indie dev, it's important to hone in on who you're targeting. So obviously you guys are correct on many different levels. So actually The Sims, what I found, which all of these images are linkable, you can go to my sources. Men and women aged 24 to 35 describing themselves as social, or relatively social, creatives. Obviously for Star Wars, fans of Lucasfilms, and who played the first Battlefront video game. And I want to note that like Battlefront 2 is you had to kind of purchase like about everything, and people were really mad about that because the first Battlefront game you didn't have to do that, and so in this behavioristic kind of category, people were mad about that. So that's something to look into if you're looking to sell things. Pokemon Go relies on the context of the fan base, which would be psychographic, and is initially targeted at a younger audience, despite your belief that it'd be the parents. It's their kids. So yeah, now we're going to talk about packaging your game. This is talking about more your website where people are going to download it. This is the download process. Are they going to do it on itch.io, on a personal website, or on Steam? Is it going to come in a disc? With all of us, I'm seriously doubting it's coming in a disc unless we've got like this amazing game that gets sponsored by like PlayStation or something. So no offense, just like realistically. And so on all your touch points, you need to have some symbols or like some typography that people are going to recognize. And No Man's Sky did a great job of this. They obviously had a lot of updates, and the game wasn't actually really playable until after years and years of updates. But no matter what, in every single one of their patch notes, they kept the same symbol. They kept the same typeface. Their game was recognizable, even beyond the art style. And you need to keep this, like this typeface and these symbols, like even in like their dividers, they keep the symbol. Like it's recognizable in every part of the website. So that's something you need to keep in mind whenever you're branding your website, which is what we're going to talk about next. So branding is key for your target audience to keep recognizing your product. And branding is essentially the promotion of a particular product or company by means of advertising or distinctive design. That is so wordy. So what you're simply going to have to remember is same logo, which is a symbol, same colors, same typography, a style guide, which will help you stay on track with logo, colors, and typography, a brand identity, tone, and voice. On Twitter, what is your brand going to sound like? Are you going to be a memer like Wendy's, or are you going to be like super formal and like kind of like a more corporate? Definitely prefer the memer if we're going to go targeting gamers. And so for touch points, consumers need to find the game. The branding needs to be consistent on all levels. What'd you say? Yes. Yes. So this is why branding is important. It takes 5 to 7 impressions for people to end up remembering a brand, to end up playing your game. 73% of people love a brand due to customer service, how you interact with them. So if you have devlogs, that is extremely important because you're able to start interacting with your community and your audience. And color improves brand recognition by 80%, which is why I'm stressing color so much. That's why this whole presentation is in the GDA green. It's in line with our brand identity. And we're gonna go ahead and look at the style guide soon in a case study. So this is what's important: color palette, symbols, typeface, identity. Obviously, our identity is gamers, so we need to communicate with them their way. Symbols, like, you know what symbol that is, come on. Yeah, totally, Mario, yeah. And then typeface, which I just put a keyboard, which kind of is not really typeface, but we're not gonna talk about it. And then color palettes. So the UF Game Developers Association, a case study on branding. This is what Diana, myself, and Hannah ended up coming up with for our marketing this semester and onward in 2022. We have some key themes. We're gonna be consistent with pixel art, vaporwave style, Neo Tokyo style, dark mode, green and neon, high contrast, and in 3D. These are the vibes we're kind of going for. These are our primary colors, and these are our secondary colors. Like it says here, the color palette isn't strict, but serves as a guide. I obviously, in this presentation, followed it pretty strictly, but you don't have to. For social media graphics, use any of the pixel-based typefaces, which I didn't do. That's why I wasn't being so strict. But, and then on social media, these are what our posts are gonna look like. They're gonna be a combination of pixel art, of memes, like in Goose Game, and actual real-life pictures. Speaking of, go follow UFGDA. If you're a part of this club, we need followers. You guys need to be notified. Oh, we can't actually look at that. I was gonna, I was gonna show you what it actually looks like, because in our recent posts, it genuinely does look like all the stuff in our style guide. But you guys can go follow UFGDA yourselves and see that later. And here are symbols. Like you see this symbol, you see it on Tony's shirt over there. You know we're talking about UFGDA. And so you need to make sure this is streamlined on all your social media and while you're networking. So here's a meme about Mr. Mark Zuck himself. You've seen him in our Discord, the Zuckerbot. And so social media is important because it helps you establish a baseline for your brand. It helps you listen to your target audience for trends and connect with them, connect with your community in order to spread awareness. And it helps you create content by following the trends. So we're gonna watch a little video, like a little snippet, very small, about social listening.
Your brand? This is where social media monitoring comes in. Social media monitoring makes it possible to see what's being said about your brand. It is a way of finding out what people are saying about your company or product and where they are saying it. You can get access to these
Okay, so that's where it becomes an advertisement. But this basically social listening is being a super spy. You find your target market, you find out what sort of gameplay, memes, topics this group cares about, and then you pander to the interests. This is obviously another AAA example, and it's obviously Fortnite. Their target market is children. Their children care about Spider-Man. The new Spider-Man movie came out last December, so they partnered with Spider-Man and they did a whole event about Spider-Man for their Christmas special. And they came out with this.
Another hero has arrived on the island. Could it be? It's me, the one and only.
Well, I give you this. You sure know how to make an entrance.
Ah, very funny. Want to tell the folks at home what we're doing here?
Celebrating the holidays in style.
Someone really needs to stop that guy.
You can handle that part. Oh, wow, this one's for you.
Oh, thank you. You shouldn't have.
So that shows that they are going to be doing their little gift-giving attribute of their Christmas special, but it also shows that they have a new skin, new moves to add to Fortnite because kids love Spider-Man and Spider-Man's on Fortnite. So you need to have attributes of that in your games. Like if there's a popular meme, you can put it in there. So where do gamers socialize? Where should you be to advertise your game? Should be on Discord. It helps you establish your community. You need to be on Reddit to understand what gamers and players in your community, like FPS players, what do they enjoy? What mechanics do they like? If you've already built a mechanic like that in your game, you could talk about it and maybe post a clip of where it glitches or bugs, where it's kind of funny. And you need to be on Twitter because that's how you can respond to your gamers and your players the quickest way. They also are on YouTube. They like to post playthroughs and to live stream it on Twitch. And I also put on itch.io, even though it's not really a social media, because it's where a lot of indie developers congregate for game updates, free assets, and game jams. And you're an indie developer, and indie developers are pretty supportive of other indie developers. So that's a great place to get support and to raise awareness. So an honorable mention would be TikTok, because I'd say just about every target market is on TikTok, and once you get on the right For You page, it's pretty easy to gather and aggregate trends in order to connect with just about anybody. So that's why it's on there. My top 3 that I recommend to you guys is YouTube, Twitter, and itch.io, because all the content you put on each of these is recyclable. They each have excellent algorithms, and it's easy to follow trends on each place. Also, I'd say all of us are pretty familiar with all of these platforms. So we're going to look at a game that did this pretty well, called Frog Detective. It's an indie game. Here on their Twitter, you can see that they use their brand voice. Hello, I am a detective. I solved every mystery. Please play my video games. And they've got the symbol of the frog in the profile picture, in the Twitter bio. They have it in the Steam page. They have it on the itch.io page. Like, it is very front and center in every single place. And here's the trailer for Frog Detective. So that was excellent advertising, kind of developing the flow and tone of voice of the game, and they obviously carry that onto every other platform as well. And so the websites I would recommend all of you guys starting to place your games is Kickstarter. Would be kind of a harder one to develop. Obviously, you kind of have to develop a community already to be on there in order to keep funding your game. But it's a great way to post devlogs. It's a great way to raise funding for your game. A more personal would be like a personal site like this. And I really love it because, one, it's just like, even this carries on the style of Frog Detective, and it has a blog, but it's not a blog from the developer. It's a blog from the Frog Detective. And so it continues to carry on that brand voice and that brand identity, so the community just gets more and more content, even outside of the game. Here's the, oh wait, this is not the itch page, I forgot. But this one, it would be the Kickstarter, I recommend it. Also, it's an awesome game. Y'all should go kickstart it. It's basically like a little farming game. But this is another great way of sort of promoting your game. In a website. And Kickstarter and itch.io have good algorithms for promoting, but obviously your personal site would have to have its own community to draw people there. And networking. Networking is vital to kind of having an indie game. The action and process of interacting with others in exchange of information to develop professional or social contacts. Why does it matter? Your friends, followers, and mentors will vouch for you. And as an indie developer, you have a community of people in the same situation as yourself, so they're more inclined to vouch for you. Your success and reputation will translate to your game and to your future projects. So a casual way to kind of network would be to join multiplayer lobbies, just game, meet people, play FPS games if you have an FPS game that you've made, and say, hey, I actually made something a little bit like this if you want to play it. And the more people to play your game, the more advocates you have for your game. So keep that in mind. You can support other indie games similar to your own. Kind of create a community and talk about similar struggles you've had, because then you have people rooting for you. You have people in your, kind of in your, I don't know what the word is, but yeah, you have people supporting you. You can participate in game jams, because the more you work with other people, especially on like those short weekend game jams, the closer relationships you have, and they'll want to know more about your other projects. And then Reddit. Find forums for things you enjoy and where people have been in similar situations. And sometimes they're supportive. Other times, but find the good ones. So yeah, obviously this is a little thing I found on Reddit of the r/gaming, which I thought was funny, which I put it in the presentation. So yeah, now here's the professional way you can kind of network. You can go to career fairs. And our university has one of the largest in the country. So if you want to go find like a mentor there who would want to like sort of support your game, maybe show his or her, kind of colleagues that they would, you could participate in industry events like E3, PAX, or UF Convergence. You could create a network on LinkedIn and put it in your portfolio page so more people can see it when they're looking at you when you apply for internships or jobs. And you can send it to UF alumni and ask for their advice. Like I saw that you did something similar. You made an indie game when you were in college. How did you advertise it? How did it help you in your future career? Talk to them. They'll want to advocate for you. Because the UF network is large. And you can include your high school alumni as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the industry events we have here at UF, which would be the Digital Worlds Institute Convergence. And if you don't know, the Digital Worlds Institute is kind of like where you can get a major for game development. And so they have this event where they have alumni and industry professionals that come out, and you can have your game showcased. And you're a student, you're at UF, you can have your game showcased. You can register it now, and it'll be kind of shown at April 21st. So I would definitely keep this in mind because this way you can promote both awareness for your game and for yourself. So yeah. And then I kind of wanted to look at LinkedIn as well. So I'm going to shamelessly plug my own LinkedIn. If you're kind of like looking for a good template to show and like have, like, I would really recommend putting your tasks and bullet points. Keep it organized, keep it clean. I've been told by both a PR professional and my dad that this is a pretty good LinkedIn. So also don't shortlist your family members, because a lot of times they know someone random that will be working in the games industry that might be able to help you kind of build awareness about your game. So like have a very concise but clear bio. Make sure that your headline, this is the first thing people are going to see, make sure it's clear. And don't forget to put your classes and your awards, because these are all things that will make you look more credible. And when people are looking at your page, they'll be drawn to the work you've done that won an award. So yeah, it's just another place to be promoting all your game. So ways to connect: develop an elevator pitch. Make sure you keep in mind that you have to be empathetic to the people you connect with, because they're people too. You need to do your research with people and with these companies that you're kind of pitching to, and like alumni. Like, don't ask someone who never worked in Japan, how was your work in Japan? Like, that would be really cringy. And you need to ask specific questions. Don't ask, how did you get a job at like Ubisoft? Ask, what does your typical day as a narrative designer at Ubisoft look like? Be personal. They're people too. And if the more personal you are, the more empathetic you are with other people, the more they are going to want to advocate for you. And as an indie developer, you're just somebody on the internet. So you want people to advocate for you. And connecting. So this is kind of a conversation I had. You can look at it later if you want, but I now have a mentorship with that person. So stay empathetic, stay kind. And he has looked at the games I have put on my portfolio and stuff. So that's just an example of why networking can help. So some free advertising you have already is word of mouth. When your friends and family look at your games and they enjoy it, they'll share it. It increases your potential of going viral, like Crab Game. And they'll talk about what they like or dislike and share it in every single way they know how. It has more value. People care about word of mouth. Like imagine your mom says, you should play this game. I know it's a simulation about cleaning, but it's cool. And she'll watch you play it because she wants you to play it, because it'll make you a better cleaner in real life. Like, you're gonna play it because it's your mom. And you trust the opinion of your mom. You respect it. So this is why word of mouth is most important. And your best friend are development blogs. So a devlog is a forum post dedicated to the development of a single project. What do you write about? You write about updates you make to the game, timelines, adding new team members, explaining the process behind game systems, and this is your game's blog. This is content marketing. This is basically, you tell your community everything you do, and they're like, wow, that's so cool, I can't wait to play it. And the more you post, the more likely you are to reach somebody, and reach somebody new. And so here is a case study about devlogs with another indie game on itch.io called Terracotta. So this is why it's kind of important to respond to your devlog comments. You receive feedback, you establish connections, you facilitate discussions, and you make a community. The more you talk to your community, the more you can establish a connection with them and make them feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves on the internet. And the more you can get into that emotional response, the more you can get into their entertainment, the more they're going to come back and play your game. And that's especially important when you have a small indie game. So this developer received feedback on her game Terracotta, which was kind of a very casual game where you just kind of walk through. This person hit the nail on the head, and she was like, I totally understand what you're doing with this. This is amazing. She's like, and then she responded. She facilitated that discussion. This was 100% what I was going for. And a big part of what she was talking about was that her game wasn't a typical first-person shooter. It had no real game objectives. You were just walking. It was an experience. And then she, to 2 million people on TikTok, tapped into that. She knew her community. She's no one. She is an indie developer just like you and me. She went to school, she made games, but she knew her audience. And her audience doesn't want to do puzzles, they want to experience something. And she had 800 people like that video. So knowing your audience gets people to play your game. And I know now that she's working with a city to develop a game similar to the stuff that she's already done, so it got her work. So another way to kind of liven up your devlogs is to make videos. Devlogs make videos make your devlogs more personal. I wrote that wrong. And I would recommend keeping them less than 2 minutes, because anything more than 2 minutes makes people lose their attention. All the videos I've put on here on my presentation have been less than 2 minutes. And they can easily be recycled on social media. You can put it on Instagram, you can put it on Twitter, you can put it on your YouTube. This is why I recommended itch.io, YouTube, and Twitter. It's all recyclable. And it's easy to look for trends in your target market whenever you make videos. Like in TikTok, like there's a new trend every few days. So you can just tap into that for your target market. And TikTok is also a great place for social listening because there's a new trend every 2 or 3 days. There's something new to tap into. And I kind of gave a YouTube tutorial on a very accessible software called CapCut, where you just need really the app on your tablet or smartphone and then Google Drive. So it'd be really easy to just click this and it'll teach you how to do it. I was gonna make a tutorial for you, but I was like, no. So I just linked a really good one that I've used in the past as well. And if you need any help, you can feel free to reach out to me or to Diana, because she's obviously editing this presentation right now. And I created a resource page for everything I talked about, for podcasts, for like how to set your LinkedIn profile page, for like kind of a social media and Kickstarter 101, a sample PR email if you're going to email journalists, for a list of industry events, UF alumni and game development, which is part of who I reached out to for my mentorship, and it worked. So I really recommend it. And branding help in general. So I will show you. I created basically how to use here. And if you click the blue thing, it'll take you to all the documents I made. So please use them. This took forever. I made everything. I made everything here. And I really recommend you start with advertising, go to branding, and then obviously go down this list. But I really like this, because I used real PR samples from my internship for you. I gave them to you. So please email journalists, and I show you who to email. Like you can email large publications or local ones. You can even email the people in the podcast list I made. Like, look at this podcast list. Look at all these people that could talk about your game. You could even find more small podcasts. Just like use these little letters, these little emails, and send it out. Raise awareness. Just put your foot out there. And if it doesn't work, too bad. It's okay. You can handle rejection. It's all right. And if you can't handle rejection, you will by the end of this. So I guarantee that no matter what, if you even do half of the stuff I've put in here, you're gonna have more people that know about your game and play your game and give you feedback about your game, which will just make you a better game developer in the end. Also, you don't have to do all of what I put in here. These are just helpful links to kind of help you get started. Like, this is like talking how to find your target market. This is like the basics before you go into branding, and the logo style guide, and then like some good ideas like here's the style guide, or like a case study about the style guide of Stardew Valley. It just kind of talks about it. Speaking of, when you make a style guide, if you're a game dev, you kind of already have one if you've already got an art style to your game, so it's just easy to recycle that. I didn't talk about that earlier. And here's a U of alumni list. Talk to these people. They don't mind talking to you. Be polite, and they'll be polite back. So yeah, that's really all I've got. If you have any questions for me, you can ask them. Like I said, this was a crash course, so if you're confused, you can feel free to ask me at any time. Yes, Julian. No. Actually, I honestly believe there is a way you can voice to text everything in Google Docs, so you can look that up. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy to access, and if you need an audiobook, I actually would be willing to make it for you because I know the struggles of dyslexia. So, yeah. If you need any help, if you have any questions, I know myself or Anthony are good resources for that. Sorry, I just totally volunteered you. Yeah, I put all my resources here at the end of the presentation as well. If you want to fact check me or anything, I promise I covered all my bases. And yeah, so yeah. Oh, and also, just for you, I broke out my branding book, so you know it's legit. Yes, I actually used my textbook. I actually got 100% on it. Yeah. Yeah. I love branding, so I focus on it. But yeah, no, I also do think it's very important. Like, it's the way people recognize you, so yeah. Like, you know Coca-Cola. Come on. Coca-Cola. So yeah, no, that's all I've got. Is there any questions of Muted Mic, or? Yeah. Sorry, I kind of rushed through that because I wanted to make sure I didn't go over time, but I'm actually doing okay. Good point. So I'm going to try to describe them the best I can. If I don't remember them correctly, Tony, feel free to correct me. But when it comes to target market, geographics, obviously where you live. Demographics are kind of your gender, however you identify. Are you college educated? Actually, sociographics, actually, sort of, if you're college educated, what kind of jobs you have, which would be this one. Demographics are just more like sort of who you are. Yeah, ethnicity and stuff like that. Which actually, it influences more than you think when you target stuff. So, but I honestly wouldn't focus on demographic too much. Like, your demographic is that you're a gamer, I guess. That's your breed. And your behavioral, like when it comes to marketing at gamers, like it actually does get kind of intricate. Like there are casual gamers, people that play The Sims more often and Stardew Valley. And then there are people that play like Dark Souls and like grindy hard games. And a big part of it is reconciling that and kind of figuring out what your community likes the most. Like I'd say someone that likes Dark Souls would love Shadow of the Colossus. I can make that generalization, I'm pretty sure. Like they're both very boss heavy, fun game. Julian's shaking his head. But they're both really fun. in that way, but they're very different. Like you wouldn't recommend someone that plays Sims 4 for 500 hours a year to play Dark Souls. I don't think so. So don't market it at that person. And psychographics, like this one over here, are very important. It's kind of sort of the club you adhere to. Are you a Star Wars fan? Yes or no? Do you enjoy the Pokemon games? Do you believe you know yourself well? Like, I would recommend a game like, I guess, Mass Effect, where you kind of have to determine your outcome, like build your own story if you're someone that's very introspective, someone that really likes to know yourself and make those big important calls. I would recommend, and I would recommend like a Sims game if it's someone that has a very escapist personality, someone that likes to go on vacation a lot, someone that likes to pretend they're in a better world, that sort of thing. You have to think big picture like that when you're brainstorming who to market to. And you have to know what your game sells. Like, I know Julian and I back there made a game that is not very friendly to all target markets. Like, if you're vegan, you're probably not gonna like Calcium Crusaders, which is a game about killing vegan furries. Which, saying it out loud, looks kind of bad. But to be fair, you play as the villain. So, but if you're gonna be butthurt about it, don't play it. So, but yeah, no. What did they say? Yeah. There's definitely elements to that where they're not very friendly, not very... Yeah, it was definitely for the memes. So it's probably targeted towards someone that would enjoy Crab Game. Rather than a PETA, a PETA employee or something, which we directly mentioned, so. So yeah, no. That's sort of target markets. Does that make it like a little more sense? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, I can also, I believe I have a resource in the branding part that goes into way more depth of what this. Yeah, I can also go more into that as well if you want. I literally scoured the internet for the best resources for you guys, so please use them if I did not cover anything too thoroughly here. And that link is welcome to anyone on the internet, anyone that isn't like in high school and stuff too. So like even if you're not a part of GDA, like just use the resources I found. It's one good place for kind of information about this, and there's a lot to learn. Crash course, like I said. Yeah, all marketing. Yeah.
Question for the audience, of the people in here. Show of hands, have you ever tried to convince someone else to do something? Oh yeah. Okay, have you convinced someone else to try to join something, like part of or play something in Egypt? Right. Were you in NHS in high school, or you in some like random club? Did you have like a big sale where you had to fundraise money? All of this is relevant to that, whether or not you ever make something.
Exactly.
Branding for any company.
Yeah.
Marketing and incredibly wise.
You see about like, I think the number is like 300 advertisements whenever you walk out your door initially. And I'm not even kidding. You like, they're everywhere. They're posters, they're signs. Yeah, so yeah, no. And a big part of your advertising is what you pay for, what you earn, and what you own. And I kind of talked about that with Michael before, and I have a whole section in that in the documents I kind of made. And I don't know, because normally when that sort of stuff is examined, like what I've seen it in the past, it's in-house. And so it's a little bit cheaper for them. Yeah, no. No, that's how it is for most companies in general, not just game studios. You know that works. My dad plays that game, so he played that game unironically, not knowing it was targeted at old dudes. So like, I don't, yeah. In the past, like with like whenever you're making a product for anything, like maybe like a new Fanta soda, you would have like the research and development and like what you said, the production costs, and then 75% let's say that's 25% of making it. 75% is advertising it. Because you have to let people know it exists once you've made it. And it's similar in game dev. But we're all poor. So that's why I'm saying, like, do all the stuff that an advertiser would do. Go make the journalists and people that are going to write about your product, write about your game, let them know about it. That's what those PR emails are for. It's just raising awareness. This isn't a bad thing. Advertising isn't a bad thing. I'm talking more about here in this presentation about the stuff you already own rather than legitimate advertising where you pay people. I have links in, I guess, kind of advertising help, or like, I don't think it's on here. Here, they have it. Yeah, advertising 101. Like, I have links here to like Google AdSense. Easy ways to get into advertising your game. There's also like, I know there's a way you can advertise your website if you like go through Wix when you make it. And this is a good way. Adweek is like where all advertisers kind of aggregate to kind of sort of find trends and information. You can use that. You can get into the advertiser mindset and do it on your own. And that takes practice. Or you can hire an agency. So yeah, so no, I'll put all those assets there. And I put like lots of examples, like even Watch Mojo has like some of the top 10 video game commercials. Like here, like you can look everywhere, and advertising's everywhere. And you can take little bits of something you learned here, little bits of something you learned there, and then just make something wonderful. So I have no doubt in my mind that y'all can advertise your games yourselves. So yeah, that's all I got for you. Yeah. You're welcome.